From financial chaos to freedom, revolutionizing your money mindset. Welcome to the Black CEO podcast, where we're about to embark on a journey that will transform your relationship with money. Today, we're diving deep into the wisdom shared by the incomparable Lorie N, a financial wizard who's been setting the world on fire with her no-nonsense approach to money management. Lorie isn't just changing lives, she's reshaping the entire landscape of personal finance, one empowered individual at a time. Her passion for demystifying the world of money is nothing short of revolutionary, and I'm thrilled to share the gems from our conversation with you. Now, let's kick things off with a little audience participation, shall we? Raise your hand if you feel like you've got your finances under control. Go on, don't be shy. Not seeing many hands out there. Don't worry, you're in good company. Most of us feel like we're on a financial roller coaster, complete with stomach dropping plunges and hair raising loops. But what if I told you that financial stability isn't some mythical unicorn reserved for the lucky few? What if I said that you, yes, you there, trying to hide behind your imaginary financial woes, have the power to transform your money situation starting right now? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to flip your financial world upside down. During my chat with Lorie, one message stood out like a neon sign in a sea of boring financial advice. To tackle your finances and kiss your debt goodbye, you need to go back to basics. I know. Back to basics sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. But trust me, sometimes the most powerful solutions are hiding in plain sight, like that missing sock that's been under your nose the whole time. Now, I can almost hear you thinking, back to basics? Really? I've heard all this before, but hold your horses. This isn't your grandma's budgeting advice. We're talking about a fresh, modern approach to age old wisdom that can revolutionize your relationship with money faster than you can say compound interest. Let's start with understanding your financial foundation. It's like building a house. You wouldn't start with the roof, would you? Unless you're living in bizarro world, of course. No, you'd begin with a solid foundation. The same goes for your finances. You need to know exactly where you stand before you can move forward. But let me tell you about Mike, one of Lorie's clients. Mike was a young hotshot, earning a decent salary, but he always felt like he was drowning in a sea of debt. He'd tried every get-rich-quick scheme out there, from pyramid schemes to betting on which raindrop would reach the bottom of the window first. Spoiler alert, none of it worked. One day, Lorie sat Mike down and asked him a simple question. Do you know your credit score? Mike looked at her like she just asked him to recite pi to the 100th decimal place while juggling flaming torches. He had no clue. And that, my friends, was the root of his problem. You see, Mike had been so focused on finding a magic money tree that he'd neglected the basics. He'd never checked his credit report, never tracked his spending, never created a budget. He was trying to build a financial house without a foundation. It's like trying to bake a cake without flour. You might end up with something, but it definitely won't be a cake. So, what did Mike do? With Lorie's guidance, he took the first step. He checked his credit report. And boy, was he in for a surprise. He discovered more errors on his report than a first grader's spelling test. These mistakes were dragging down his credit score faster than a lead balloon, making it harder for him to get favorable interest rates. By simply identifying and correcting these errors, Mike was able to improve his credit score significantly. It was like financial magic, but without the top hat and rabbit. But that was just the beginning. Mike then created a budget, a real, honest to goodness budget that reflected his actual income and expenses. No more guessing, no more hoping, no more crossing his fingers and wishing upon a star. He faced the cold, hard numbers head on like a financial superhero staring down his arch nemesis. Now, I know what you're thinking. Budget is practically a four-letter word for some people. It conjures up images of deprivation, of never having fun again, of eating nothing but ramen noodles for the rest of your life. But that's where you're wrong. And that brings me to the second key point from my chat with Lorie, the 50-30-20 rule. This rule is a game changer, folks. It's simple, flexible, and dare I say it, even fun. Here's how it works. You allocate 50% of your income towards needs, 30% towards wants, and 20% towards savings and debt repayment. It's like a financial diet that still lets you eat cake. Let's break that down. Your needs are the non-negotiables: housing, food, utilities, basic transportation. You know, the stuff that keeps you alive and functioning in society. Your wants are the fun stuff: dining out, entertainment, that fancy coffee that makes you feel human in the morning, and that 20% for savings and debt, that's your ticket to financial freedom, baby. Now, I can almost hear some of you protesting, but I can't save 20%. I'm barely making ends meet as it is. I get it, I really do. But here's the thing, this rule isn't about perfection, it's about direction. Maybe you start with 5% or 10%. The important thing is to start. It's like exercise. You don't go from couch potato to marathon runner overnight. You start small and build up your financial muscles. Let me tell you about Sarah, another of Lorie's clients. Sarah was a single mom working 2 jobs to make ends meet. When Lorie suggested the 50-30-20 rule, Sarah laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. "Where am I supposed to find 20% to save?" she asked, probably wondering if Lorie had lost her marbles. But Sarah was determined. She started small, setting aside just 5% of her income. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She cut back on some of her wants, found ways to reduce her needs, and slowly but surely, that 5% grew. It was like watching a tiny seedling grow into a mighty oak tree. Except instead of leaves, it was sprouting dollar bills. And you know what? A funny thing happened. The more Sarah saved, the more motivated she became. She started looking for ways to increase her income, taking on freelance work in her spare time. Within a year, she was hitting that 20% savings target. Sarah had gone from financial zero to money hero. But Sarah's story doesn't end there. Remember how I mentioned that the 20% is for savings and debt repayment? Well, Sarah used part of that 20% to start chipping away at her credit card debt. And let me tell you, watching that debt shrink was more satisfying to her than any impulse purchase had ever been. It was like playing a video game where every level you beat is another debt paid off. Level up, Sarah. This brings me to the third key point from my conversation with Lorie: the importance of building an emergency fund. Now, I know what you're thinking. Emergency fund? I can barely pay my bills, let alone save for emergencies. But hear me out. An emergency fund is like a financial safety net. It's what stands between you and financial disaster when life throws you a curveball. And let's face it, life loves to throw curveballs. It's like life is a professional baseball pitcher and we're all just trying not to get hit. Lorie shared a powerful story about a family she worked with. Let's call them the Johnsons. The Johnsons were doing okay financially. They had a modest income, a comfortable home, and were even managing to save a little each month. But they didn't have an emergency fund. They were financial tightrope walkers without a safety net. Then, out of the blue, Mr. Johnson lost his job. Suddenly, their comfortable life was thrown into chaos. Bills piled up, debt accumulated, and stress levels skyrocketed. It was a financial nightmare, like someone had taken their calm financial waters and tossed in a financial shark. But here's where the story takes a turn. Instead of giving up, the Johnsons decided to take control. They cut back on expenses. Mrs. Johnson picked up extra shifts at work, and they started building that emergency fund they'd neglected for so long. It wasn't easy. There were times when they were tempted to dip into their growing emergency fund for non-emergencies, but they stayed strong. And slowly but surely, their fund grew. And you know what? 6 months later, when Mr. Johnson found a new job, that emergency fund had become their lifeline. It had kept them afloat during a tough time, preventing them from falling into a debt trap that could have taken years to escape. Their emergency fund was like a financial superhero, swooping in to save the day just when they needed it most. Now, Lorie recommends starting with the goal of $1,000 in your emergency fund. For some of you, that might seem like an impossible amount, like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops. For others, it might seem too small to make a difference, like trying to bail out the Titanic with a teaspoon. But remember, it's not about the number. It's about building the habit. Start with what you can, $10 a week, $50 a month, whatever you can manage. The important thing is to start. Because here's the truth. Financial freedom isn't about how much money you make. It's about how you manage what you have. It's not the size of your paycheck that matters. It's what you do with it that counts. As I reflect on my conversation with Lorie, I'm struck by how simple yet powerful these principles are. Understanding your financial foundation, implementing the 50-30-20 rule,
in building an emergency fund. These aren't complex financial strategies that require an MBA to understand. They're basic principles that anyone can apply, regardless of their income level or financial situation. It's not rocket science, folks. It's more like financial gardening. Plant the seeds, water them regularly, and watch your money tree grow. But here's the catch. Knowing these principles isn't enough. You have to act on them. You have to be willing to face your financial reality head on, make tough decisions, and stick to your plan even when it's difficult. It's like going to the gym. Knowing how the equipment works won't give you muscles. You have to actually lift the weights. So here's my challenge to you. Take action today, right now. Don't wait for the perfect time, because let me tell you a secret. There is no perfect time. There's only now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The same goes for your finances. Start by checking your credit report. It's free, and it's the first step in understanding your financial foundation. Then create a budget. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start tracking your income and expenses. And finally, start your emergency fund. Even if it's just $5 a week, start somewhere. Remember, every financial expert, every millionaire, every financially free individual started exactly where you are right now, with a decision to take control. Your financial future is in your hands, not your parents' hands, not your boss's hands, not the government's hands, your hands. You have the power to change your financial story. Starting today, it's time to stop being a supporting character in your financial story and become the hero. So, are you ready to go back to basics? Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Are you ready to start your journey to financial freedom? The choice is yours. And remember, every journey begins with a single step. Your step might be small, but it's mighty. It's the step that says, I'm taking control of my financial destiny. As we wrap up this transformative journey through the world of personal finance, I want to leave you with a call to action that will shake the very foundation of your financial world. It's time to break free from the shackles of financial ignorance and step into the light of financial empowerment. First, I challenge you to face your financial fears head on. Pull out those bank statements you've been avoiding, dust off that credit report you've been ignoring, and look your financial reality square in the eye. It might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, but remember, knowledge is power. And in this case, it's the power to change your financial future. Second, I dare you to dream big. What would your life look like if money were no object? What goals would you pursue? What passions would you follow? Write them down. Make them real, because these dreams are the fuel that will power your financial journey. Third, I implore you to take action. Start small if you need to, but start now. Set up that automatic transfer to your savings account, even if it's just $5 a week. Create that budget, even if it's not perfect. Check your credit report, even if you're afraid of what you might find. Remember, imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Fourth, I challenge you to become a lifelong learner in the world of personal finance. Read books, listen to podcasts, attend workshops. The more you know, the more empowered you'll be to make smart financial decisions. And finally, I urge you to spread the word. Share what you've learned with your friends, your family, your community. Financial literacy is a gift that keeps on giving. And by sharing your knowledge, you're helping to create a more financially savvy world. Remember, your financial journey is just that, a journey. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns, but with each step, you're moving closer to financial freedom. You have the power to rewrite your financial story, to turn your financial chaos into financial freedom. So, are you ready to revolutionize your money mindset? Are you prepared to take the leap from financial confusion to financial confidence? The time is now. The person is you. The future is yours to shape. Let's make financial freedom not just a dream, but a reality. Let's create a world where everyone has the knowledge and tools to take control of their financial destiny. Let's start a financial revolution. One budget, one savings account, one empowered individual at a time. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your financial journey starts now. What will your first step be? Thank you for joining me on this transformative exploration of personal finance. Remember, your financial future is in your hands. Now go out there and make it extraordinary.